giving out, giving out vaccines and everything. I don't know if you followed the news as such. So they're doing well here.
Yeah, we were doing well here, and then the politicians found a way where they can manipulate people's behavior. So all of a sudden, these other variants keep showing up, and they're like,
oh, I can see that. I've been following the news.
yeah. Oh, well, we can't let you off your leash yet. Oh, and we're going to give $20 million to people to help with their rents. Where's it going to come from? Nobody's working. You don't have a tax base. But, oh, they gave us money for our rent. We'll reelect them until that bill comes due.
Absolutely. It's all so bizarre.
Yeah, well, over here in America, politicians, and they actually had one of them, their strategic planners, come out and say, well, you never let a crisis go to waste when you find a way to get advantage out of it. And it's like, what about the good of the people versus the good of your own personal career path?
Unfortunately, it's the society we're living in.
Yeah, it seems like it's universal. Politicians, no matter where they're at, or have that same. Maybe Shakespeare was not wrong when he said kill all the lawyers, because almost every politician is a licensed lawyer. I'm beginning to think the French did the revolution the right way.
I'm not going to comment on that, because I meant to revive people and save people. So I'm not going to comment on that.
Don't give them any idea. Trust me, they've already had the ideas. Your position is, okay, we have to encourage you not to use the skills that you developed in the military. It's like I got hit with an anti-tank rocket, hit on this side of the helmet, caved in the skull. All of these bags and things is because all of this has been rebuilt with cadaver parts twice.
Oh dear.
They wanted to put me on stuff for migraines. Well, I drank a lot of coffee, and I get a little smokeless tobacco put down here. Between the nicotine and the caffeine, the migraines don't kick in. They were like, okay, we want you to take this stuff. And I'm like, I looked at it and I'm like, okay, doc, did you read the side effects here? First one is mildly addictive. That's like being mildly pregnant to me. No, I don't need any more problems. I gave up drinking 14 years ago. You had me on 4 Percocets and 3 Oxycontin a day, plus Tramadol and Seroquel and all of those prophylactic painkillers. I didn't have a life. I'm not taking any of your crap. I said, look at number 2. Oh, may cause suicidal ideation. There's good news. Number 3 is of concern, may cause homicidal ideation. I said, you've seen my medical record book. Yeah. Every guy that you've seen that way, he goes, yeah, they were trained. Yeah, exactly. My job was to go out.
I like your dry humor.
Yeah. Well, I said, let's scroll down to the bottom. Oh, look at this. May cause intestinal distress for 6 to 8 months. I said, that's a polite way of saying that you can crap at a screen door and nothing would stick to it. I said, and look at the last one. He goes, what's it say? I said, may cause anal leakage. He goes, so that's a no. I said, no, that's a depends. And over here, I don't know what they call them over there. It's an adult nappy. Depends is a brand name. I said, no, that's a depends. And he goes, so you're not going to take it? I said, would you? And he goes, no. I said, let's look up and see what it does to your liver, your kidney, your pancreas, your endocrine system. Let's find out how bad this stuff really is. He goes, look, I was just told that. I said, and I'm telling you, if you're going to recommend this to people, particularly veterans, you need to know what you're recommending to them and what it's going to do to their body, whether they get the results that are requested or desired or not. And he's like, well, you know, I said, stop. I said, has anybody gone to jail because they took this and it made him goofy? And he goes, well, that has happened. I said, anybody ever go to jail because they drank too much of this? And he's like, actually, I don't even think there's laws against how much caffeine you can consume in a day. I said, thank you.
I love my sense of humor.
Yeah, it's a very British sense of humor, from what I found out.
Ooh, you do expressions as well.
Yeah, I spent 18 months on an exchange program in Portsmouth with 40 Royal Marine Commando.
Oh, okay.
Some of our Marines to come work with them, and they'd send some of their Marines to come work with the US Marines. And Yeah, I fit right in. Color Sergeant McClanahan took me to a pub, and I happened to go and get 2 half-gallons of Jim Beam and had it in my inner pockets on my trench coat. And I walked in, and in Wales, if you're not Welsh, they hate you. So I walked in, I pulled the plastic stopper off, pulled up a tumbler about half full, on a pint, and I handed it to the barkeep, did mine. He goes, "What's that?" I said, "We're going to solve a problem before it gets started." And I turned around and I said, "I know how you love to fight and how you hate everybody if you're not Welsh." I said, "But we'll start with the one person in here that hates the French more than me." And everybody cheered. So I walked around pouring bourbon in everybody's Guinness. And I got back, and Color Sergeant McClanahan says, "What was that?" I said, "Diplomacy." And he goes, "It's still early." I said, "Yeah, but now we know it's going to be for recreation. It won't be personal." So I've had a ball. I've been in 32 countries around the world, and not all of them were happy to know that we were there, but they usually didn't know until we left and something went boom.
I love your approach. The funny thing is usually people introduce themselves, but you just straight went into your own self.
I'm just going to go. I want you to understand fully. If you decide let's move forward with a podcast, it's like, oh God, he's no filter. Nope. He's not politically correct, but I can count on him to tell the truth straight from the gut, straight from the spirit and soul. It's just most people aren't used to somebody that's straightforward.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I love actually people who talk common sense and who are very real with things. Because I'm very real in things. I don't know if you followed any of my.
I have. I was like, oh, I'm curious. Then I'm like, okay, how do I follow this? How do I follow that? And I'm not tech savvy, but I've already referred people that I know that suffer from the same afflictions. It's like, go look at this. And they're like, what? I said, you might find something there that might be beneficial. Because you tell a prior military to do something, good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good luck. But in the way that you wrote things and stated it, it's like, okay, even though it's just written words, I can still feel some sort of a connection. And that's one of the things that we miss when we get out of our environment, go out into the civilian world. And it's not so much everyone for themselves, dog eat dog. It's, okay, we were in a very tight community and we realized if we didn't do our part, somebody else can get hurt dead.
Yeah.
Get to know people really, really well. And we speak our own language. We have our unique approach to problem solving, and it's not the same. One of the toughest parts for me during the transition was learning to speak civilian. And I don't think I'll ever understand the civilian mindset.
Yeah.
Because, I joined at 17 and immediately loved the structure and the environment and being part of a team and being part of something bigger than me. And
then being encountered what most people wouldn't be with events which are actually quite unnatural to usual life.
Oh, yeah. And what I tell anybody who suffers from PTS, when people say PTSD, to me, a disorder is something that can't be changed. Like if you were born with spina bifida or born with a club foot, it can't really be fixed. It can be treated, but it'll never fix.
May I enlighten you with that? You're talking about, I think you're mistaken the medical disorders to the mental health disorders.
Right, but what I tell people is that PTS, you can own it so it doesn't own you.
Yeah.
You can work with it and do something with it like you can own disorders.
Yeah.
And it's
a medical disorder is permanent, but
right.
Mental health disorder doesn't have to be permanent.
That's what I try and tell people. And me being straightforward is like, look, okay, you're damaged. You're not damaged goods. You still have value. You're still a great human being.
The point is, what I'm trying to do is, I don't know if you've seen that in my messages, and it's very nice that you picked up on that, what you just said, that you can actually affiliate to something, you can understand it, because that is my main aim. I work with lived experiences, academic knowledge, which I've also gained, and bring a very a healthy portion of common sense in there. So I'm not trying to make it complicated. There's everything which I talk about has research, it's facts. It's not something which is just drawn out of a story.
It's not a swag.
No.
You know what that is.
Absolutely. It's not a way just to draw attention because of my looks, so people get drawn. You know, yes, I do use my looks as a tool because I know it works well, but that's just to get people into the door.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you got it, use it. I tried it, and people were like, "Damn, you're a poster child for a prophylactic ad, weren't you?" Don't let this happen to you.
I love it. I love it.
I don't want people to love me for my body. I want them to respect my mind.
What are you trying to say? Do you think I'm attracting people just for my appearance?
Yeah, but see, if they're open to the message, they're like, "Oh my God, she's a very spiritual person. She wants to help others heal themselves." If they get past the looks, okay, and the way you present yourself is like, "Oh, she's all that and a bag of chips. She's gorgeous, but listen to her message." So that's a compliment, by the way. Bag of chips. That's one of the.
I know. No,
well, chips over here are potato chips. Over there, the French fries.
I know. In German, we call them chips as well.
Oh, okay. Well, when I was down there, I at Portsmouth, 4th of July, I celebrated Independence Day, and I set up smokers and did slow smoking, real American barbecue. And I had a bunch of tater tots that I went up to the Naval Weapons Station there in Birmingham, near Birmingham, and they had them, and I took them down and we deep fried the tater tots. And they're like, "What are these? They're fantastic." I said, "Tater tots. It's potatoes, but it's just processed a little different. All the little pieces, nothing goes to waste. You fry them, then you pour melted cheese and bacon, sour cream over them." Well, I shot myself in the foot, so to speak, because anytime the colonel's wife had a social or a function or there was anything on that base, I got voluntold to go do a barbecue for it, which paid dividends in the long run because I got more connected in the community. And it's like, "Oh, there's a Yank, but have you tried his food?"
Yeah.
He brought something of value. He's not here just, and of course, I had to teach him how to drink real coffee. I just pour coffee into a big, have you ever seen those giant camping?
Yeah.
We just pour it in and you let it boil, and then you pour a little cold water around the top to get the grounds to settle down. But by boiling it, it takes all the bitterness out. And a lot of the Brits that were around there tried the coffee. It's like, "I've never had coffee like this. You never had it cooked right."
That's right.
Never. Yeah. I said,
I mean, the Germans, they love a coffee the same way.
Oh, yeah.
Love a tea over here. The Germans love their coffee, and they grind it well. They, prepare it properly, which I do miss at some points. When I'm having a coffee, I'm a big coffee lover.
Well, how long were you in Germany?
I've grown up in Germany.
Oh, so you went from Persia to Germany, then to...
I'm not from Persia. I know I do look Persian, but I'm not from Persia.
Well, looking at the name, it looked like you had Persian ancestry just in the name alone.
Probably. I mean, I seem to have kind of a very multicultural look from many countries.
You do. You're kind of Mediterranean, kind of Persian,
yeah.
But the classic Persian with the higher cheekbones and
yeah. Yeah, no, I've been approached.
Don't take this as an insult. You have a slight Italian look about you.
I know, I've been categorized in so many things. It's actually funny because I get approached by many people from various backgrounds. And It's funny to say, or to hear that from you as well, because the people actually from their culture approach me in thinking, I must have had one of these phases where they think, "Oh, we can actually ask her or trust her in any way." But they talk in their language. They approach me in their language. And I know, yes, I am a multilingualist, but I cannot speak all languages by any means.
How many do you speak?
I speak German, Urdu, Hindi, Punjabi, and English. And I speak some Latin. Which I've, forgotten most of the time because I'm not practicing as such. But yes, that's the languages I speak.
Well, it's ancient language, but when you have to conjugate the subject to fit the verb, no, it's too difficult. That's why English is so easy to learn. I'm still trying to learn it. I speak Redneck, but I have no difficulty communicating.
No, I can see that, which is
sometimes I even gesture when I communicate.
That's right. That's right. No, I mean, I've picked up English actually since I came to London. You know,
oh, really?
Yes, I was a former diplomat. I don't know if you picked that up on one of my posts.
I was wondering about that. It's like, okay, was she an actual ambassador or part of the diplomatic corps or a staffer? I was curious about that. So how did you end up?
I didn't reach that stage of ambassador so far. I'm working on it. So
right. Well, you represent quite well.
Thank you very much. You know, it's a funny thing actually, because and representation is so important, the way how you present yourself to the public. I've been actually been asked by many people, approached by many people, specifically on LinkedIn and Twitter, as a doctor. They you know, approach me as Dr. Shafaq. They automatically affiliate me to that title, which I haven't reached so far. I am in the process of getting my doctorate, but it will take some time. But
is it going to be in psychology?
No, a medical doctor.
Oh, so you can take a few more classes and become an actual psychiatrist. Over here, PhDs that are psychologists, but psychiatrists have had the medical training with the additional coursework.
No, what I'm doing is psychology itself, but what I'm trying to say is that I've been affiliated as a medical doctor.
Okay.
So that's how people perceive me automatically, just because of the present, because of how I'm presenting myself, because I'm very much interested in behavioral science, in human anatomy as well. People automatically think, oh, and then my Indian background, you know, people think, oh, she's from India, she must be a doctor then.
Exactly. It's like over here, it's almost stereotypical. The Filipinos get into nursing.
Yeah.
That there's a big American university with a nursing school in the Philippines, so they come to America. And if you see a Filipino that's not a nurse, it's unusual, particularly in Southern California. And there's a comedian that I got the pleasure of meeting and to know a little bit. He's first generation American and he's hilarious. He goes, yeah, he goes, it's strange to see a Filipino not in scrubs. And everybody starts laughing. He goes, how many Filipinos we got in here? And they start screaming. He goes, how many of y'all are nurses? Yeah. He goes, I failed out of nursing school. My mother's so disappointed.
No, absolutely. People do think that. And, you know, the way I'll present myself then automatically just fulfills the full package for them. So they
it's a good thing to feel confident enough that you have a presence.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the only funny thing is I've been offered jobs as a doctor.
I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV.
That is the very funny thing about that. You know, I've been approached by recruitment agencies offering me a medical doctor's role.
Well, when you do get your medical doctorate certificate, I happen to have a colleague, Allison Brown, that places medical professionals into various positions. So it's like, hey, you need to talk to Dr. Shafaq. She's not a doctor yet, but it won't be long. And then
That's wonderful.
Well, then you come to America and find out Americans I know Stacy, she's from Sri Lanka. She's working on getting a medical professional certificate. It's not a doctor, but it's a physician's assistant. So she had to do a lot of interning in emergency rooms. She goes, I knew Americans were crazy. I just didn't know how stupid they were until I did time in an emergency room. And every guy said, well, it seemed like a good idea at the time. I said,
I know the psychologist is well received in America.
Yeah. Well, I got our t-shirt made up. It's a very nice t-shirt. It says, physician's assistant, the first person you see in the emergency room after saying, hold my beer, I got an idea. And she walked into the emergency room and she goes, can I get more of these? Because everybody wants them. And I'm like, I'll tell you what, Ron Oding, very dear friend of mine, he's got his own production facilities. I'll put you in touch with him. So they started, I forgot what they trademarked the name as, but they trademarked the shirts. Hey, Ron, step around here. This is one of my youngest colleagues. He's tall, he's good looking, he's 23. I hate him. This is Shafaq. She's in
Hello,
UK.
Shafaq. Nice to meet you.
She's from India and working on becoming a medical doctor.
My family is actually from India, Pakistan, and Kashmir, so 3 explosive countries.
Yeah, I've been to Kashmir, up on that pass where everybody wants to have a fight at 17,000 feet. I never.
Pleasure to meet you.
It was great to meet you too. David is amazing. I love this man.
Yes, I can see that. Absolutely. We're gelling well.
Well, and one of the things is I teach him lots of old man wisdom. Hopefully he can avoid 30 years of pain that I had to experience. Like he was talking one afternoon about getting married. I'm like, you're 23, stop. Don't even think about that until you're 35 and making mid 6 figures. Easy deal to get there from where you are now. And he goes, and I said, let me put it to you this way. Peace of mind is far superior to a piece of ass. Oh man,
that is true. I do agree with that. Put your own feet down, know where you are, what you're doing, and then look for the love of your life, you know.
Well, if he develops himself and he has the resources, the right one will find him.
Absolutely.
If you find the wrong one, all his resources are going to go away.
And I'm always available I'm always available to give therapy, you know.
I appreciate that, Shafaq. It's a pleasure to meet you. You're in great hands.
Yes, the pleasure is all mine. Wonderful.
Have a good one. Thanks, Brian.
So are you at work at the moment then?
Yeah. What we do is financial education and financial services. You know what the rich 1% get with the coaching and the counseling and the access to products and so forth and a tailor-made program? We do that for the other 99% of the people in the world.
That's within the military?
Anybody.
Okay.
There's not a. I don't know how it is in the UK.
I'm sorry. You're very humorous, which I do like, and you're very positive in things. But I can also see you have encountered a lot of negative experiences, which you do put a lot humor inside as well. Is there anything you're still kind of struggling with, if I can ask you that question in general, or you just mask it with the humor, or is it something which you?
Well, if you can laugh at the situation, it changes the mood about it. You know, I've seen a lot of bad things, and I've made decisions that got people hurt and got friends of mine killed. And I'm like, hey, jump up on this gun. I got to go do that. And they're like, you're the best on that gun. I'll go do it. I'm like, you sure? And he goes, yeah. And if I die, my mom will kick your ass. That's the last time I saw him alive. You know, it bothers me every day. But
is that something which helps you? Because it could be a coping strategy in general.
It is. It really is. But at the same time, now when I think about them, I'm starting to think about the good times that we had, not how it ended. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. Yeah, but it's a nice thing actually, because if your brain, what it is, I mean, I love, as I said to you, you know, brain anatomy. I love behavioral science. And the brain is so amazing how we work with that. You know, there's a lot of control we can have over our mind and brain. And if we turn these actually traumatic experiences, or we're able to turn these traumatic experiences into some good memories, into beautiful events beyond this trauma, that is what's so beautiful, because that's something which keeps us going.
Yeah, that's why I said damaged, but no longer damaged goods. You know, you can own it. It never really goes away, but until you decide to work with it and directly confront the demons, so to speak, for lack of a better phrase, head on, they're going to own you and you're going to be miserable. And it's a choice. You may not know what but look at what you're getting.
Absolutely.
Do you want this? You know?
And that is so fascinating to see, because me as a professional, I don't hear many people's, wording it in that way, because a lot of people are trapped with their trauma, with their experiences, with their past as such, and do not, or are not capable of moving forward, letting go of things. Because what I always say to my clients as well is, you can never actually leave your experiences or memories behind. The more you try to escape them or dismiss them, the more they will follow you. So a way to manage, which you actually expressed so well, is you can have them working or living alongside you. They can enter your life, you can feel them, you can see them, they can come and go, but they will not take over your life.
You take the power out of them by changing your relationship with that trauma or emotion. It, getting back to something that you mentioned is the incredible organic computer we have up here. I have about a quarter of my upper right hemisphere that had detached from the impact and atrophied. So I ended up with a visual acuity discrimination discernment dyslexia. Well, we've got to be licensed. So if I look at a test, when you look at the ABCD answers, the only way I can see it is I see a pile of words, like a mound of dirt. And things aren't out of order or backwards, like P's and Q's, sometimes they look flipped. G's you throw in there. But it's not a full-blown dyslexia, but it was trauma caused. So I went over and volunteered to be a lab rat at the University of San Diego, or University of California, San Diego, the medical school, in their neurology department, and worked with them about 30 hours a week to wire around the damage. Well, 32 MRIs have showed that portion of the brain is essentially grown back to its original size. The blood flows back. We're just waiting for that one little neuronic connect. But I've wired, to get past the test, I literally hardwired the answers in. If you look at it and it feels right, check it. Well, I failed the test 5 times, and then something felt different. I'm going to go take it again. I was in and out of a 3-hour test in 22 minutes, and I got an 84.5%.
Extraordinary.
And was able to get licensed.
Yeah.
So it's amazing what this can do. The other bad part of that is a lot of the memory centers are right next to the smell sensory receptors, and that's why some of the times when you smell things, it'll trigger a flashback memory.
Yeah.
They're literally butted up next to each other in the folds of the brain. I'm like, so I'm doomed. And they're like, no, you're not. It's just going to take a long time to get used to it. And I'm like, there's good news. I'm old. I don't know how much time I have left.
Well, you never know. You could grow until 200, you could live out, all of us.
Well, my granddad was 99 and a half when he passed.
Then you have good.
His wife was 101 when she passed.
Then?
On the other side of the family, if they didn't smoke and drink as much as Irish people tend to do, if they were ones that didn't, they lived into their upper 90s, low hundreds. So people are like, how is it you're able to work so hard? I said, I'm just coming into my prime. They're like, what? I'm like, oh yeah. I said, how is it you're half my age and I can outwork you? And you haven't been blown up. You don't wear prosthetic devices on both legs so you can walk. You haven't had 28 surgeries. I said, maybe it's just a good Lord saw fit to not kill me. And now I got a second opportunity. And instead of wasting my time, I want to do something that's creative and productive and meaningful. And I think that's helped a lot with the PTS. See, I help people fight for a future. I get to fight with them. They become my friends and clients for 20, 30 years. And nobody's trying to kill me. But I have that purpose again that I can feel good about what I'm doing. And I think a lot of people just on this side of the pond, they go and they get a job, but it doesn't make them feel good about getting their job. And then they're kind of lost as far as what's my purpose. And they don't even know how to go look and find it.
No.
Well, I took a lot of the tests that the VA or Veterans Administration, who deals with all the veterans, and they're like, oh, well, we want you to go become an attorney or go and get a degree in brewing and distilling arts. I'm like, did you look at my record book? I'm a self-diagnosed alcoholic. Well, you haven't had a drink in a long time. And I'm like, yeah, you want to put a fat lady in charge of a candy store? It's not a good idea. But they send me to get a degree and then set me up with a loan to start a micro distillery or microbrewery. And I'm like, you all don't see a problem with this, do you? I know you're trying to help. No, thanks.
Oh, I love your dry humor. It's lovely.
Oh, and it's creative, and it gives me, and I don't know where it shows up, but I grew up in a Scotch, Irish, German, and Welsh family. And I think it started at the dinner table.
I was wondering, you have German inside you.
Oh yeah. But the whole thing was, at the dinner table, we'd all be sarcastic and pick on each other. And if you didn't get creative and pick back, you became the victim. You had to fight for your own
training.
Exactly. Somebody goes, "You're full of wit." I said, "Well, it rhymes with wit."
Oh no, that's wonderful. Actually, I actually find it very refreshing to see that you have such a wonderful approach to the atrocities you have gone through, and I can affiliate to you in a different way because I have very similar approach to that. You know, you
Right.
may have picked up on some of my things, on some of my
I did. I'm like, I was honestly wondering, and it's kind of rude to ask, but I'm like, what kind of traumas has she been through? Because she's talking like she's been there, done that.
Yeah.
But it's like
my profile. There's where it says about you.
Yeah, I read through that, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, she's been there, done that.
Yeah,
but
yeah. So
asking a veteran, "Oh, did you ever have to kill anybody?" I got mad one afternoon, almost lost my mind. I said, "You mind if I fuck your wife?" And he got pissed off. I said, "See how you feel? That's how you made me feel. Don't ever ask a veteran that again." I said, because you're asking a veteran that, chances are they might have had to, and they also have skill sets that you can't appreciate.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, if you look at the person in a different way, and that is why I don't get starstruck. I don't live with fear. These two things do not exist in my dictionary. They just don't exist. So if I meet a person, I meet the person. It could be the king of wherever, or it could be the road sweeper. I would act exactly the same in a
treat them like they were the most valuable person in the world.
Absolutely. And
that's actually in one of my affirmations. I was rewriting them. Hang on a second here. I love people and people love me. I connect instantly with them because I am interested in them, and I do not feel I have to be the interesting one. I treat everyone like they are the most important person in the world.
Absolutely. And that is wonderful. That's my approach as well, because I don't feel that we are born with a privilege. I don't feel that we have certain status or race or background or culture, whatever you want to call it. I'm not interested in how much money that person has, how much fame that person has, where it comes from. I'm just interested, do I like that person? I don't like that person. If I'm looking...
Yeah, and are they good to me? Well, I can live with or without them if they're not, but how do they treat others? I watch people very carefully. And if they treat people really well, it's like, I know I can connect with them.
Yeah.
And I want to now. I used to want to be left alone. And I'm finding out I actually love people. I don't understand most of them, but I believe the vast majority of them are actually good at heart. Now, you will run across some evil, just nasty, mean, sour, genuine sons of bitches. Well, I have the choice to get upset or not. What goes in my head is my business, not them. And why am I going to give them free rent up here?
Yeah.
Okay, miserable. Why do I want to be miserable with them?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. No, I very much agree with you, and that is the approach I have as well. And I've also learned now. I've been telling everyone actually because it's so exciting. I've never been single in my life before. It's the first time ever I've been single.
No kidding. Well, hey, how are you feel about long distance relationships?
I love it. Well, put all jokes aside, I've been in two very long-term abusive relationships with a total of 24 years. So, and the reason—
I'm going to call BS. You're not old enough to have relationships that were 24 years of your life.
Yes. I mean, I don't regret anything and I don't blame anyone, because I think negative experience actually enrich your life. You learn from that. Wherever it's negative events, wherever it's negative experience, it's all part of the learning curve, learning life experiences, gaining life experiences, and making the person who you are today. And good experiences and good events, positive things, they give you happiness and joy. So either way, you're learning and you're gaining. You know, it balances all out. And that's how I look at life, because I've learned a lot. And the reason why I'm such a brilliant psychologist now, because I had a lot of training in my life.
Well, and a lot of experience to back it up. One of the things that I've always found, and I've posed this to one of my mentors, Ken Braddock. He was a US Navy corpsman. They go with Marines. Spent 3 tours in the Ashwa Valley in Vietnam, and he was in for the whole fracas over in Korea. He's getting ready to pass on now. He's just goes, I finally got to the point where I got that soul weariness. He goes, it's not that I don't see a reason to go on. He goes, but I know eventually that it's going to expire. But I said, did you ever notice something? And he goes, oh God, here we go. You getting deep. I said, you wade into my mind, you won't even get your ankles wet. I'm not that deep. I said, but some of the most horrific events that anybody could ever experience were some of the most defining moments of our life, in both good and bad ways at the same time. You think some of our struggle is trying to assign whether this was good or bad? And he looked at me and he goes, continue. I said, if I can take the emotion out of it and just acknowledge it for an experience and accept it and keep my ego from assigning good or bad, I said, I can look at things as they are, look at things, how they affect my behavior, and then I can probably change them. And he goes, you sure you don't want to go into psychology? I know some people. I'll make a call. And I'm like, no.
Send him to me.
Yeah. You don't want a 93-year-old flirting with you. Trust me. You think I'm bad.
You're stalking me.
That's another way to put it. Yeah. Give you an example of how we met him. We were in a PTS group at the Veterans Administration, and he used his GI Bill to get a PhD in psychology and a PhD in addictive behaviors.
Oh.
It's one of those shingles that's had to be wider and we had this kid in the lab coat that was 24 years old, you know, wore the stethoscope and sat down with a bunch of us old surly veterans. And oh, I know what you've seen. I know what you've been through. In 20 minutes, we had him throwing up in a trash can. The next week, here sits Ken Braddock. And he goes, yeah, I heard about that punk last week. He goes, I never did like him. He's all big on ego and titles. He's not here to help. He's here to inflate himself. And he reaches in his jacket and he pulls out a cigar. I said, there's no smoking in here. He goes, fuck him. It's my group. I do as I goddamn well please. So I reached in my jacket and pulled out a cigar, and he lit it for me. And we're sitting around laughing and carrying on. And he goes, let me give you about my background. He went through it. So he'd been there, done that. And I said, oh, good. So you've been in the bottom of our hole, but you found a way to crawl out of it. Yeah. I said, throw down a ladder. He goes, unfortunately, I can throw down a shovel. You got to dig your own steps to get the hell out of it. Mm. But I can show you where to put the steps. Does that make sense? I'm like, yeah, actually it makes more sense than anybody I've heard in any of these programs. He goes, good. And more than 10 minutes, security shows up. Is there smoking going on? He goes, is this your group? No, then get out. I'm like, I instantly fell in love with this guy.
Because he's mischievous like you are. I can see that.
Yeah, kind of a kindred spirit. And so you have a mischievous side, but you're subtle. I'm not.
That's right. There's nothing wrong in being mischievous because that draws people's attention. You know, if you put out all the cards at the same time, people look at it and then they lose interest because that's our human mind. We have very short memories.
And very short attention spans.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have to make it interesting enough.
And here's something that people don't realize is when we evolved, we were hardwired to be that way, and women were evolved in a different way. But guys can focus on one thing at a time, and it seems like we're doing nothing, and nothing drives a woman more crazy than seeing a guy that's apparently doing nothing.
That's because we do so many multitask things, you know.
Oh, you use both hemispheres of your brain at the same time. Guys are lucky to use just that much of one side. So here's what I tell women. I said, don't think of him as a grown man. What? Think of him as a 5-year-old in a big body powered by testosterone, beer, and horsepower. You go. He's going to be the toughest kid you ever raise.
That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. No matter who you encounter, one might be 8 years old and the other one might be 5 years old.
Yeah, but it's the same. It's just, where are you in the timeline?
I mean, it's actually funny though. It's very funny if we're talking about evolution as such, about the biological differences. History has evolved, but we have not changed. We're still drawn to the same things. We're attracted by the same or very similar things to each other. The only addition which comes to that now is emotional intelligence. So if a woman, for instance, is attractive, but she also has this intelligence, the kindness, all these kind of elements on the top of that, that's something which is additional point for the other side, you know.
Oh yeah,
be attracted to that. And because it's been well known, well, before that it was very simple. It was going on certain looks, it was going on a certain physique which men affiliated to. Generally evolutionary psychology, it would be about mating, how to progress your race further, how to progress your ancestry further. Now it has slightly changed, where female at that time we're looking at male who can provide for us, who can be the hunters and gatherers, and you know,
provide the resources and the stability.
Absolutely. Now the dynamics have changed, so the focus has changed, but in general the needs are no different. The needs are exactly the same. And I see that even me just presenting my content, where I'm trying to make it more creative and glamorous or attractive, however you want to call it. But a lot of people don't go above my pictures, which is funny to see.
Let's get back to the Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Absolutely.
And you used a phrase, emotional intelligence. And I think with experience, you might, if you are cognitively aware of it, reach a certain level of emotional maturity.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people are spiritually bankrupt and emotionally immature. And that's a dangerous combination, because, okay, now I'm the victim and it's somebody else's fault. Yeah. Look, where's Sparky?
Absolutely. Emotional maturity
the ultimate
come with the contentment which you build within yourself. You know,
exactly. Well, and people don't realize life is the ultimate do-it-yourself project. Yeah. And I've got a big dry erase board up there, and it says, learn to dream again. Yeah. I don't know where the moment of madness came from, because if you don't, you're going to give somebody else permission to pick out the nightmare that you're going to live. And then I've put a caveat on it, and it'll look amazingly like theirs.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what you don't want to do. It's all about identity. It comes back to self-identity. It's the identity crisis, where we're going through a pathway of life, and a lot of us don't actually find this identity. You know, it's all about finding yourself. It's all about who you are, what you want to do. It's the contentment within yourself, and that comes with emotional intelligence and emotional maturity. If you don't develop that, you will always be confused and live with chaos within your life.
Yeah, and I never understood people who were happy living in chaos and instigating more of it. It's like, have you looked at your decision-making process? Because you're getting the exact results based on the decisions and they're not happy. Well, did you think about trying to change, one, the way you see your self-image, and two, have you ever thought about sitting down, putting pen to paper and writing it, just slow down the thinking a little bit and play it forward far enough? Because you got enough experience with bad judgment. So do I. But by exercising enough bad judgment, I got to the point where sometimes I can use good judgment.
Yeah.
And people are like, what? I said,
I think the trouble with that is fear. That's another element
Yeah.
that comes in. We are human creatures who like to be, and that connects with self-identity again. We like to be affiliated to something, wherever it's a group, wherever it's our family, wherever it's a culture, wherever it's a certain way of life, whatever we're used to. We do not like to having to go into the unknown, because that's
Yeah.
the fear. If we step out in the unknown, we do not know what encounters us or what we're going to.
But that's where growth occurs.
But a lot of people cannot do that. They like this
Yeah.
familiarity, and they like to have this affiliation of identity, group identities.
So they live their life in chaos because they simply got used to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I get it. And it's like, I don't understand it. I can understand it intellectually, but it's not part of this anymore.
And that has nothing to do with your academic understanding, any kind of other intellect. It's simply because you're used to something, and as human beings, we don't like to go into the unknown. We don't like to step out of our fear and try something new, which is why all these different conflicts also occur, you know, race conflicts, status conflicts, all sorts of different conflicts which we're encountered with. A lot of people cannot deal with the unknown, and the unknown comes only out if we step out and look outside of the perspective.
But if they spend enough time in the unknown, they'll get enough confidence that they won't be arrogant. Just like, okay, whatever happens, I can be good with it. And
there's very few people who can deal with that.
Yeah, and people right now are really disgruntled, disconnected, disillusioned, distracted by all the crap that's going on. And we've talked with people in Yemen and in Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, on the other side of the planet, in Indonesia. A lot of them are military that are coming back, and they're like, yeah, it's the same way over here, because everybody feels so divided and suspicious. And I'm like, yeah, that's part of the human terrain. And I'm like, oh, I got to remember that. Putting it in military phrases. But if they don't get out of their known into the unknown, all they're going to get is what they're getting.
Absolutely.
That's why I'm like, okay, this is where relationship is going to be the most valuable currency in the foreseeable future, because some of us who've been out there, like young Ryan here, when he got here, you'd snap a stick, he'd go through the roof. But he was wanting to grow because he had the desire, first off, to grow, but he was also wanting to take the mentorship. A lot of people, like, I don't know how it is in the UK, if you're volunteer to help them, give them some guidance, and then they get offended because you're trying to run their life. No.
Yeah, I know, it's no different here.
I'm trying to tug on the reins just enough to keep you from falling off the cliff that I've already fallen off of. And climbing back up out of that canyon is a lot of effort, you know, but that's where it comes with, okay, you connect, and then everybody deserves a certain level of trust and respect. If they want more, they got to be more trustworthy, and they got to earn it. And it's got to be a mutual thing. And a lot of people don't understand that relationship takes time.
That's right.
And it's okay to be a copycat if you copy the right cat. Look at somebody who's
copy the right cat. That's the good.
You can use that one. Have some fun with it. But I'm not talking about, okay, status or wealth. Are they happy?
Yeah. You cannot be happy if you're copying somebody else, because
but you can get guidance from them that's like, okay, this is me. This is how I got here. I can help you from falling over the cliff. But that's why we're allowed to build agencies and teams. And my team's name is Ad Victoriam. Loosely translated, it means to victory. And they're like, what does that mean? I said, what's your victory? I know you have a why. You want to provide more and better for your family, but how are you going to know when you want?
That's
Mine's
right.
going to be different from yours. Our paths are going to be similar. I can keep you from stepping on the landmines and having to backtrack and go make up for lost time. I said, but what's your victory? And my job is to figure out how to guide you to get there.
That's right.
Relationship and mentorship. And don't think that mentorship's a one-way thing. People don't understand that either. I learn more from other people that ask for some guidance than they ever do from me.
You learn about the behavior science, you know, and which is why I can see you have a lot of understanding in that as well. I mean, a lot of people don't understand or don't know about it. I work in the mental health sector from the last 10 years that they have actually in helping them, they have actually helped me to heal myself, to understand myself.
Absolutely.
Because of looking at various behaviors, because of looking at various differences, because of looking in the way how they're interacting with me, everything. It's a constellation of a lot of things. And that has actually helped me in healing myself, understanding myself, evolving myself, and how to move forward.
Oh, yeah. And between the genders, I'm trying to frame this properly. It's considered to be unmanly to ask for help. And it's like, it's still
the problem, which is why
right. And it's got nothing to do with that trumped up bullshit, toxic masculinity and patriarchy and all that crap. That's very 19th century. And it's like, we're in the 21st century and it's still okay to ask for a little help or guidance.
But you know, it comes back to conditioning again. It comes back to familiarity. It comes back to self-identity, because that's what we are not used to. We've been conditioned to do so over centuries. It's very, it will take some time to recondition your brain, recondition the society, recondition.
So I tell people that because I've worked with the damage, I was able to figure out a lot of things. Initially, it was like, nope, don't want that anymore. Don't want this anymore. Don't want that anymore. Okay, what do I got to change to go in a different direction, which is habits and behaviors, primarily in my case. But when I was working with the folks over there at UCSD, they had a long-term study from UCLA, University of California, Los Angeles, 45-year study. And it's not just 100 people. They were tracking a little over 50,000 people. The findings were shocking, because from the time you're born to the time you're a young adult at about 25, 26 years old, you have heard, no, you don't want that, or no, that's not the way you need to be. Take a guess at the number. I was shocked when I saw that it was over 100,000 times. And being bombarded by all of the crap that you see on TV and social media and radio, and it's like, yeah, I can kind of wrap my mind around that idea. But even subtle little things like in advertising, if you don't do this, you're not going to keep up with the Joneses, and it's implying that you're less than. And they counter those types of situations. I'm like, yep.
It is conditioning again. Comes down
exactly.
Comes down to self-identity. It's affiliation to a group again. It's affiliation to a certain way of life. So it's all human behavior. You know, we don't like new things in general. We are very afraid, and the ones who leave their fear behind. I'm very fearless. I think because of life has my fear does not exist in my vocabulary as such.
I can be startled by, you know, surprises and things, but as an out and out fear at a phobia level, no.
No,
you got a fear of commitment. I stayed in the Marine Corps 34 years. Yeah, I was committed.
No, absolutely. I
should be committed. You know, one of them jackets where you hug yourself.
I mean, I say I've been encountering trauma all my life. So yes, I've diminished fear and I replaced it with resilience.
Well, here's a phrase that I developed from my grandfather, and I used to use it with my Marines. They're like, they do something. It's like, are you bleeding? No. Okay. Is it really going to kill you then? No. One time a kid come back and he goes, yeah, I am bleeding. And I looked at his calf. I said, well, it's a long way from your heart and you ain't bleeding that much. My granddad told me that too. And he goes, where do you get this? I said, I got that from my grandfather. I said, I worked on a ranch. I grew up on a ranch at a dairy farm. I said, so I was a little skinny kid at 117 pounds at 5'9", working with animals that weighed over 1.5 tons. Trust me, I've been there when it's been more than just
enough training, enough encountered.
And they're like, oh, I said, so they're like, well, how do you operate in this environment? I said, well, fear doesn't go away, but we train enough and work hard enough, we can overcome that unnatural environment and still operate. I said, why do you think you were conditioned at boot camp so much when somebody screamed at you, you immediately reacted? First few times you're put in one of those situations, you're going to freeze up, but you've been trained that somebody's screaming at you, telling you what to do, you do it immediately. I said 2, maybe 3 times in, it'll bother you, but you can still function. You function on your own. You no longer freeze up. I said, so yeah, a lot of psychology and a lot of conditioning, but the end result is to keep your ass alive.
Yeah.
Now we're in an environment where it's not going to kill you. And then if you can wrap your mind around that, you take bigger risks driving home on a freeway at rush hour out here than you do anything else in your life. What's the point of having fear get in your way?
I mean, fear is always going to be a hindrance for people to step out, whatever they want to step out, wherever it's stepping out of a bad habit, wherever it's stepping out of abuse, or wherever it's stepping out of trauma, whatever you want to step out and look for something new and analyze the situation in a different way. That's the fear which is holding you back. So once you actually pass this stage of fear, that's where the world opens to you. You know, you learn so much, you see so much.
Well, early on I go to AA, and there's a lot of wisdom from people who've been sober 40, 50 years. And Frank was another Marine. He was Korea and Vietnam Marine. And he goes, you know what fear is? And I said, what? He goes, you know how we have acronyms in our, I said, oh yeah. He goes, fear is false evidence appearing real. I said, yeah, but as long as I don't buy into my own bullshit. And he goes, precisely. I said, well, you want to know what fear really is? He goes, what? I said, fuck everything and run. And he goes, I like that one too. I said, yeah, it's in that fight or flight self-preservation mode. I said,
you have a very thorough understanding about psychology. You should go for that.
Well, I do peer-to-peer counseling at the VA and through Veterati and some of the other groups I'm on LinkedIn. And the East County Mental Health Outreach Coordinator, Brenda Mitchell, she's like, you can connect with these veterans. I said, yeah, because I've been there, done that. I got the scars to prove it. So when they have one that's a real special case, they'll call them and say, look, we got another veteran that was just like you, probably worse. We want to come talk. I said, fine, no uniforms. What? No uniforms. And we go in my Suburban and we'll go sit down and talk with them. Why? I said, do you really want them triggered? And they're like, oh yeah, that's a good point. So we'd sit down at the kitchen table and I said, okay, could you do me a favor? What? Go clear all your weapons. We're not going to take them, but go clear them. Why? Because you bust for that back door to the bedroom. I'm busting out the front door. I want a head start. And they laugh. And it's like, what? I said, that way neither one of us are coming from a fear situation. And I'll talk about my story and my history. And about 70% of the time we were able to convince them it might be a good idea to go to the VA and get help before a judge says you will go and you will participate. VA is not bad. And if he does that, you're going to jail.
Yeah. I mean, the hardest thing for someone who's suffering with anything, any mental health, it doesn't even have to be a condition. It could just be anxiety, stress, anything, is to acknowledge that. That's the first part. And if somebody is forced to do something without actually acknowledging it, it's not going to benefit that person.
Oh no, it's just going to be, now I'm a victim in a deep level. But I found something out when it's like, when they'd say something like, I thought I was the only one. And then it's like, okay, that door's open. We got something to work with. Nope. I said, I can promise you two things. One, if you work with it, things will change. They're going to change, but it's going to suck because everything that's kicking your ass now in your mind, you're going to have to deal with.
Yeah, it's the encountering.
Worth it. And literally they said 7 out of 10 I was able to do. The other ones, okay, they got roughed and stuffed and put in a program, which usually, particularly in Southern California, there's a very anti-veteran sentiment. You know, so amongst the politicians, and it's easy to blame veterans for everything, you know, so we're kind of the scapegoat for a lot of crap.
I mean, I think people need to be educated in that way, because people don't understand that veterans are not the decision makers. They're just the executors. They're just doing their job.
Exactly.
And ultimately, they're trying to protect their own people, their country. You know.
Well, and it's easy for the politicians to shift the blame. That way nobody looks at them.
Yeah.
I had a formal mess night. So I was in my dress blues with medals and got an emergency call. And the colonel says, you're taking my sedan, you're getting on a DC-10, you're flying to Kansas City. And there's somebody already packing some clothes in your room. You're going to have a sea bag waiting on you when you get out front. If you need anything, call me. You know, and he handed me his credit card just in case you need money to travel on, because I know you don't have anything with you but your ID card and your wallet. I said, I got my own cards. And he goes, take it anyway, just in case. That's why I admired the man. And on the back of the plane, I was walking in to sit down. And the gal says, I wonder how many babies he's killed today. And I said, not too many, because I'm not that hungry. And I was sitting there and she kept throwing insults. Well, in Vietnam, I said, honey, let me ask you something. You weren't even alive in Vietnam and you're being a parrot for the propaganda. If the government told those people in Vietnam to get the hell out of Vietnam, what would they have done? She goes, well, they would have had to go home. I said, who the fuck do you think sent them? And there's a stewardess right there. She goes, we have an empty space in first class. Would you like to upgrade? And I said, yes, I would. I get up and everybody's clapping. And before I got out of the coach section in the back of that DC-10, another stewardess handed me a glass of champagne. I said, this is going to be a bad idea. She goes, what? I said, altitude and alcohol. What could possibly go wrong? And everybody's laughing. But she was so mouthy and so surly and so nasty that I'm sitting in first class and people in coach are still sending drinks up.
Oh, dear.
Because, you know, they were all thinking it, but I'm just the guy that had the balls to say it.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's not many people who can speak up. You know, in psychology, we call it bystander effect. Bystander effect means that.
Is that similar to the Stockholm effect, where everybody starts getting together? They know the right thing to do, but they won't do it because
it's very similar. It's very similar because bystander effect means because it comes back to social identity, self-identity. We like to affiliate to something. We don't like to be outside of the box and look different to someone else or act different to someone else. So if something is happening, and that is why a lot of things, people let it happen and don't actually interfere.
They'll stand around and look at each other instead of taking action.
Absolutely.
Pull out the cameras.
That means that no one would actually take the action to intervene, create change. And there's very few people who would actually get up and do that. Unfortunately, it's human nature, and it comes down to fear again. You see, we're connecting with a lot of psychological things now today, which are affiliated to each other, that if the ones who do not have this fear, or who have actually passed this stage of fear, who have passed this stage of social identity crisis or self-identity crisis, who have passed this fear of finding themselves, self-awareness, knowing who you are, these are the ones, and it's a very small group who actually reached that stage. Those
are the more to me, watching a lot of we get to build our own agencies. We have monthly meetings, we have national conventions, and the people who are highly successful are the most mild-mannered, humble, down to earth.
Absolutely.
They're not self-aggranding blowhards. They'll tell you how much they made, but they'll also tell you it took me 12 years to get to that point.
Yeah.
I didn't quit, but I changed.
Yeah.
To where I deserve to have that kind of income. But they'll then sit down with you and show you how to do it.
Yeah.
And I've been finding that a lot of the more successful people that are worthy of emulation are just exactly as you describe.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite ones was he was hilarious. He goes, nope. He goes, I don't know who I'm going to be tomorrow. He goes, but I know who I'm not going to be anymore.
Yeah.
He goes, and once you get to that point, he goes, it's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. You enjoy, and that is why I'm saying I'm enjoying being single. I've never been happier in my life.
Exactly. Exactly. And people,
I mean, it's not, I'm not saying I'm ruling out any men. Please don't think I'm
oh no, I'm not, I didn't get that at all. I think we're kindred souls on this one. It's like, I've had relationships, and one of the reasons I got to know Linda Mitchell is the gal that I was involved with. As long as she stayed on her medication, she was fine. 48 to 72 hours after she went off of her medication, she was going to blow up in a big way. And the fifth time, think about this, the cops nicknamed her the Psycho Swede because she was from Sweden. But Linda Mitchell gave me her personal cell number. She goes, just dial my number, let it ring once. I'll order a close patrol, because within 48 to 72, finally, the fifth time, they're like, you know what? She's going to jail. So the female officer that arrested her, she shows up. What happened to the curtains? I said, I took them down, front doors open. If you stand right here, move with me, you can look in. She's slamming her head in the door. I said, she's going to tell you that I did that. That's why I took the curtains down. I said, there was no fight. You know the drill. You know the deal. And she starts laughing. She goes, I hope she does tell me that you did that. And she walked in with her cell phone out, watching her slam her head in the door. And sure enough, the Psycho Swede said something. She went to jail that night. Next morning, on her day off, that gal says, come with me. You can't fix this kind of crazy. The restraining order and eviction notice. We're going to start her 72-hour psych eval hold on Tuesday morning. It's a holiday weekend. And I'm like, so I had a week, and I'm like, yeah, this is,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
And we went, even though we weren't married, I went to couples counseling with her, and the counselor says, well, I'm hearing 3 different things that you want. What do you really want? What are your needs? I said, can I ask something? Yeah. How can I meet your needs? She goes, I don't even know what they are, but you're not meeting them. And he goes, I need to speak to both of you separately. And he waited and waited, because he was looking underneath the door, and she was listening to the door. It was one of her times she was off her meds. And she goes and sits down and he looked at me, goes, one word, run.
That was a good advice.
Counselor. Yeah. And I'm like, how? She's moved in.
Find a way.
With that eviction. And the good thing about it is she was telling a lot of my friends a lot of lies and bullshit. Well, she started playing with them sofa surfing, and they're like, how the hell did you not kill her? We knew what she was blowing smoke, but damn. I'm like,
It sounds like someone who maybe had schizophrenic.
She had a personality disorder and a schizoaffective.
Yes, I thought so.
There was a bunch of letters.
Yes.
But, so now I have a checklist. Do you have a career? Not a job, a career. Oh, good. Do you have a long-term lease or a mortgage in your own name? Do you have a car? Great. Does it run? Medications are you on, or should you be on? And then I peek in the medicine cabinet. I see things like Wellbutrin, Risperdal, Tramadol, Prozac, any of those. I'm out.
Look for the flight.
Yeah, that's when fear actually is beneficial.
That's a good way.
There are times when that fight or flight is a good thing, and flight is a very, very good thing.
Absolutely, I do agree with you.
There's some times when it's necessary. Now, does it mean that a lion's trying to kill you? No, but you're going to be just as dead when they're done with you.
That's right. There's no point in fighting.
I have a lady friend of mine. She's absolutely hilarious. Mary Brackett. She's got close to 40 years of sobriety, and she's absolutely hilarious. And she was talking with this relative newcomer that was getting started in the program. She goes, Dave, I want you to take an interest in this young lady. And then she goes, I don't want a relationship. She goes, no, he's a pretty good bodyguard. And all the guys who are going to be trying to hit on you, he'll run off. Do it. And she goes, and here's what you want to see him leave? Just say, I love you, and watch him, they'll leave. Say, I want to marry you, they'll leave in the here. And I looked at her, I said, you really want them to leave and leave skid marks as they're leaving, burning off the tires? She goes, what do I got to say? It's like, I want you to be the father of my children. They're gone. that was Mickey. And now I've got 14. I think she's got 9 years sobriety, continuous sobriety.
Okay.
And it's funny because, you can associate with a group. Well, there's everybody from every walk of life, but we have that one problem. And really, if you look at the steps, it's a cognitive behavior therapy program.
Yeah.
Based on the fact that we're spiritually bankrupt. And I was looking at the steps when I got started, and I started smiling. Somebody says, what? And I said, well, I had a psychology course or two, and this is a cognitive behavior therapy program. You can't unfuck yourself until you're aware of what's fucking you up. Pardon the language, but
I know it's all about analyzing or understanding, accepting what it is before you can do anything about it. I mean, it's what people actually in general, and it's quite amusing to listen to you because there's a lot of facts which you're bringing on, which are very, very, research based as such, without, even though you don't have maybe the academic background of that, but you have a very thorough understanding about these things, which is brilliant. And that comes down to, again, this self-identity, the crisis which you have passed, the fear which you have encompassed, the kind of finding yourself, being content with yourself, and it all brings everything together because you find yourself being content. You look at the world with a different viewpoint.
Oh, exactly.
And that's the beauty of that, because you feel good about it as well. All these various things which were actually holding you back, drawing you back, are gone.
And one of the beautiful things is when you see people have that aha moment, whether it's in my professional career where the lights go on, but they get to choose and pick what they want.
Yeah.
The rest. They don't have to take in all the BS, and they realize, oh, just by eliminating a lot of the crap, I'm starting to change.
Yeah.
And you see the changes in them before they do. And that's a thrill for me, because then, it's leading up to that aha moment. And I love it when people walk up, there's something different about my daughter. I'm like, yeah, that too. She hasn't yet, so don't spoil it.
Oh, I love it. Actually, you have a very, very similar view or thought process than I have, because I do find joy in that as well.
All great minds. You know what that means?
No,
you're naughty like me. If you were a guy, it's like, that means you're perverted just like me.
Oh, yes, of course. It gives me so much pleasure and joy, which people don't understand how much it does provide you with healing, with joy, with pleasure. When you're watching these kind of things, it's wonderful to see this progress in somebody.
Well, and it's really a blessing when they actually go, I'm feeling better. Okay, keep what you're doing. Why? Because sometimes people like, oh, I'm feeling better. I don't need to continue with trying to develop growth. And you're going to get, if you stop fighting for what you want.
Absolutely.
What you don't want is going to take over again automatically.
No, it's a gradual improvement. It will not happen over time, but as long as it's improving, that's something.
Oh, exactly. And one of the biggest things that I'm really big on is like, stop believing your own bullshit.
Absolutely.
Because somebody told you that and told you that's what you need to believe and you made it part of you. Stop believing your own crap. And learn to laugh at yourself.
Yeah.
And if you need somebody to laugh at you, I'll help.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and the people are like, well, you're always putting yourself down. I said, no, if you think about it, I'm sharing about my faux pas. So I'm not engaged in those anymore. And if I'm the brunt of the joke, nobody's feeling gets hurt. And if I'm hurting my own feelings, well, they got medication for that.
Absolutely. You're the director, producer of your own films.
Exactly. And getting back to that, what I said, it's like, okay, life is the ultimate do-it-yourself project. It's up to you to do it right. And if you're hurting, you screwed up somewhere. Go fix it.
It's been a pleasure.
I didn't mean to take so much time. I'm just having a ball.
No. I'm enjoying myself.
When can we do it again?
Anytime you want. I mean, we can always arrange it. Is it okay if I could, public that? I mean, there was nothing said as such, which was secret as such or derogatory.
Oh no, help
okay
yourself.
With that?
It might be that one little spark that helps somebody on their journey.
Absolutely, and that's so wonderful. And the only things which I would take out are a few words which we cannot use in public.
Oh, the F-bombs. I did not intend to be other than straightforward in here.
I know.
And if people are offended by that, by a word, fuck them.
I will just put a peep on there.
You knew that was coming.
No, I'm quite fine with that. But I think when you want to display something in a professional way, I just have to.
I get it. But see, I'm not a licensed professional. I'm just one of those. I can be a catalyst for positive change in somebody's life, and help yourself. Throw it out there because.
But that is wonderful.
Who knows what kind of good's going to come from it? But I also know that energy that I put out there, and being sincere is like, if it'll help, do it. Somewhere, you and I are both going to have a blessing because it'll come back.
That is the point. Exactly. That's how I see it. I can see the mirror of myself.
I tell you what, there's two books. Dr. Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself.
Yeah.
And Maxwell Maltz, Psycho-Cybernetics. They talk about the quantum energies. I still have my mind around how it actually works, but I don't need to know how it works. I just know that it does work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's called faith.
Yeah, you have understood yourself. That is the point.
I don't understand some of the stuff I do, but it amuses me.
You just work.
Even I'm like, where did that come from? And I start laughing, and people are like, what? I said, you got to understand my mind. And like, oh, really? I said, I don't understand it. Mostly I'm a bystander that's just amused by what's going on. but they're is it Aristotle or Socrates? One of them said that for man's beginning to understand himself and to grow is the ability to laugh at himself. Trust me, was it?
I think it was the second one. I don't think it was
Socrates.
Aristotle. Yes, I think
it might have been Cicero. Cicero had some dissertations on that.
It may be.
But my whole point is like, I laugh at myself a lot because I got a lot of material to work. I've been up here for 58 years. I mean, what you see is just the tip of the iceberg.
It's been a joy talking to you. It's like I always
knew it was going to be fun because I'm like, okay, just reading that is like, okay, I kind of connected, and she's got a sense of humor, but it's subtle. And I know it's a professional dissertation, but I bet you there's just going to be a laugh fest. Not disappointed.
No, wonderful. I'm happy you like my way as well. You know, sometimes you don't actually know. I was joking earlier with another meeting, stating that have I fulfilled actually your expectations? Because often people put themselves out with filters and other things, and when you look at the person itself, it looks nothing like that.
Exactly. Well, and that's another thing. It's like I've learned to kind of divorce myself from the expectations. And it's like, if you expect, oh, well, if I do this and this and this, I'll have that. To a degree, that can be true. But when it all goes to hell, who are you going to blame? Well, we beat ourselves up. Kind of divorce yourself from that. And it's like, okay, I'm looking forward to the result and the experience.
Absolutely. And how's the result and the experience for you then?
Exactly. And if you didn't like it, okay, let's backtrack, find out what we need to change, and then progress forward again. But a lot of people have so many unrealistic expectations, they're always disappointed.
That's right.
A lot of other than specific trauma that a lot of people suffer, those without any real specific trauma, I think that's how they're traumatizing themselves.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's another trauma when you try all these different pictures, or you portray yourself as you're not. You know, it comes back to self-identity crisis, because people don't have this confidence. They don't know how to do that, or they're not. Absolutely. So I haven't got any problems. I haven't got any secrets as such. You know, nothing to hide. I may come across mysterious, which is good in a good way, because it brings the people in the door.
They want to know more.
Their attention.
Yeah. Well, and it gets back to the kind of creative, mischievous side. I also think that we were created and evolved to have that, just because if you didn't, your life would be so monotone.
I agree.
So boring. And the kind of mischief that I create and mayhem, you know, like it's never at anybody else's peril. Nobody else is going to be a victim from it.
No.
It's just kind of fun and creative. And I spent a lot of years being incredibly serious. And now it's like, okay, it's playtime for me. I'm happy to get up every day. And I'm looking at the roses and not the roots. It's a good day. Yeah. I can get vertical and I'm ventilating. The rest of the day is up to my own attitude. Pretty simple.
And that is wonderful.
But what people don't understand is, like, it's a habit. Happiness and attitude are habits that you can cultivate, and it's tough to do. You know, anybody who says, oh, I'll drop a bad habit, they've never tried to drop a bad habit, because at one point it met a psychological need for them and they enjoyed it. Those are the same people that are saying, oh, it's as easy as taking candy from a baby. Try it, Sparky. Tell me how that worked out.
Absolutely, I agree.
You can use that one. People can relate to that really well. I'll drop a bad habit. Them the same idiots. Taking candy from a baby. They've never tried it.
No. No, absolutely. You try that.
Yeah, try that. Try that and come back and give me a full report. How'd that go for you?
Oh, listen, it's been wonderful talking to you. I could go on.
And I just looked down. We've been talking for an hour and a half, and
yes,
we just sat down. God, I love these kind of instant connections. When can we do it again?
Yeah, it's been wonderful. We can arrange that. I mean, once we're offline, we will arrange that. What are your general availabilities then?
For you, I'll be flexible. You tell me. Because I had so much fun. And I'm sincere in that. It's like, not only have we had a raucously good time, but somebody's going to find some value in it somewhere.
Yeah, so absolutely.
And I'm sincere. I mean this. Whenever you need me, let me know.
That is wonderful. Yes. No, I'm quite excited about it. To be honest, I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
I'm supposed to end up going to once they lift the COVID travel to Ireland, but. Crossing that little strip of water there ain't too awful far. We may meet for a cup of coffee.
Of course. It would be a pleasure.
Coffee and fish and chips.
Yeah, absolutely. I take you down to the coast.
Oh, absolutely. And here's the thing. If I'm going to destroy my nutritional program, let's go nuclear on.
I'm all up for it. Yeah, all up for it.
Well, people tease me a lot. It's like, how is it that you're that old? And I said, well, I still go to the gym. And if you look, I said, yeah, I graze all day long, but what am I really eating? I said, if you see me actually grab a pile of tater tots, how often does that really happen? I'm like, well, how do you resist tater tots. I said discipline, and sometimes I hate my discipline.
Sometimes we can.
I mean, literally, all organic trail mix.
Oh, wonderful. You know how we call it in Germany? We call that student food.
Student food. I call it squirrel food. Well, students are sometimes squirrely. Did I? Oh, I went there. All right. Well, we're going to keep talking. Let's get off.
It's been wonderful. We get off, and yeah, thoroughly. I enjoyed it. Really, really a pleasure talking to you.
I'm looking forward to the mischief and mayhem on the next meeting. I'm already looking forward to it.
Wonderful to see. I'm actually quite glad that you enjoyed my company. So have I fulfilled all the expectations you may have had?
I didn't have any. I just knew it was going to be fun, and it was going to go a bunch of different directions, and I'm not disappointed.
Oh, wonderful.
It was one of those, I'm going in this, we're going to have fun. There's something about the way she wrote that mischievous side where that, and about 2 or 3 minutes in, we'd already were laughing and connecting over mischievous mayhem, and it's rare to have that kind of connection.
Yeah. But you didn't introduce yourself. You just went into something, and I thought I just go along with it. Absolutely, I just go along with that.
Why give a resume? That just tells you everything I've done. How do you get to the person?
Absolutely, I totally agree. And I'm actually very very pleasantly surprised that I kind of mirror myself. I feel like it's a mirror image.
You're not the only one. The world's in trouble now. We found it.
Absolutely. We're gonna take over the world.
First Zoom, tomorrow we'll take over the world.
Yeah, we will certainly do. No, wonderful.
One of my grandfather's, his last name was Osborne. His favorite, he running gags was, he goes, boy, you know why the God invented whiskey? And I said, nope. Now, my grandmother was Irish, my mother's Irish, both from the old country. And they both at the same time, to keep the Irish from taking over the fucking world.
Well, I always say the Germans are going to take over the world. I'm the German.
It will be very tidy and very organized if they do. The only other society that's that well organized that I found were the Swiss.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're like neighbors to Germany.
Yeah. That's going to get us in a whole new level.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're going to go there and get into all kinds of missions. But see, the problem with Germany taking over the world the last time, it wasn't Germany that was instigating, it was that idiot from Austria.
That is what people are forgetting. It wasn't even Germany, but it doesn't matter now. It's a very different kind of German.
Oh, yeah. I have heard. I used to know a few people that were stationed there and knew a couple of German nationals, and they're like, even we don't know what it's going to turn into. I'm like, maybe you need some adult guidance, and like, doesn't every country need to get rid of their politicians and let the grown-ups be in charge? Like, very valid point. Let's get people that have their own self-interest, that are selfish and self-seeking, out of positions of power, and they're like, how do you do that? If they're running to find and get that power, don't trust them.
I agree. Oh, listen, it's been wonderful. I could keep going on and on and on.
Oh, I could too, but I'm going to get me another cup of hustle juice. You've set the tone for me to have a great afternoon.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah,
and I don't want you to stay up too late. Time with me, but I don't want you to be up till midnight or through till tomorrow.
We'll be talking here until tomorrow, and my Zoom will be moaning.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
Too much.
yeah, I know you paid for unlimited hours, but damn, give us a break.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen,
well, we're just getting our money's worth.
Absolutely, that's what we're doing.
All right, well, let's end this. I'll go get me another cup of coffee, and then I'll send you a message on LinkedIn. We'll find out when we reconvene. It's
been wonderful, actually. I mean, I will just do a close-up sentence for our users as such.
Okay.
It's been wonderful. We have David Schoefield here, a lovely US veteran. I didn't even get to introduce you. Introduce you to him, introduce him to you. Now I'm getting all buffled up. But never mind. We hope you enjoyed my session, and you know, we will come back certainly. We had a lot of giggles and laughter, and a lot of content, serious content has been discussed within that as well, which is part of social identity crisis, the fear which we have to encompass, self-identity, bringing in contentment, finding yourself, and we will come for number 2. Part 2 will follow. Take care.
It's going to be interesting to see what kind of feedback you get.
I mean, have you actually watched some of the feedback I'm already getting on my posts?
No, I hadn't had the time to delve that far into it, but guess what I'm going to make time to do?
Yes, do that. It's quite interesting.
It's like, I can see it. What was that? And when is he back?
Yeah.
With him on the program, I'm not the craziest person in the room.
that will give actually people hope.
Exactly. If he can have fun and he's that messed up, I'm not so bad. Use me as a signpost. You know, if you're
as main poster.
You're good. You're good. You're I hate to use the word normal. But yeah, you're more towards that end of the scale.
You got hope. You got hope.
Exactly. If for no other reason, I am the example of don't be this. I have a purpose.
And you're doing it really well.
Hey, you got to excel at something. You might as well be a bad example.
Oh, listen, it's been such a pleasure, really.
I've enjoyed the whole time.
It's wonderful. It feels like I've always known you.
I was going to point that out. It's like, were we connected energy-wise in a previous life?
Somehow we must have, you know, must have.
There's something very familiar and very comfortable. And I mean that as a compliment.
Oh, thank you.
Now I've got to go make sure my passport's up to date. You may get a call. Hey, guess who's at Heathrow? And then you'll be like, oh, crap. Is the UK ready for this?
He's already there.
Just find a bail bondsman so we can prepay. How much do we get for this? Why? How much? Okay, how much is it if they charge us with a felony? We'll prepay.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to come in.
At some point, we're going to look at each other and go, I got an idea at the and it's on.
Oh, no, it's wonderful.
I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be hard to focus the rest of this afternoon, but I'm going to take this energy and finish out my affirmations, and then I'm going to send them to you.
Yes.
And you can start seeing, okay, this is how he's starting to reshape his mind. That might give you some more insight, or it might terrify you.
Nothing terrifies me. I don't think I've encountered anything, or I haven't encountered anything which could surprise me nowadays. You know,
I can be momentarily shocked, but it's like, really?
Yeah.
I check in real quick. It's like, why did I jump at that? And it's like, it's mostly you've seen the video of Karen's. It's like, oh my God, her mental, that kind of mental state might be catching. I'm out. No. That old phrase back in the hills where I grew up, don't step in and you can't scrape off. Yeah, there's certain people like Karen's. I'm out.
Yeah, absolutely. You always have to know your back door.
Thank you. Have the escape and egress route pre-planned.
That's it.
Well, it has been a wonderful adventure, and I hope your day was a little bit brighter. I know mine is, and I'm eager.
It's been wonderful.
Just call it a day, or we're going to talk another 10 minutes.
Absolutely. What I will do, it's been really a pleasure. I will send you my details over so we can connect through my phone number as well. Do you have WhatsApp?
I do.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. I think it makes it easier rather than just using LinkedIn.
Yeah, and then I'm also on Be Connected and LinkedIn and a few other platforms.
Okay.
would be beneficial for us to share information on. So
yeah, that would be wonderful. Once I've got this clip ready, then I'll just yeah, put it on, and you can just record it and reshare it. And
this is a trained professional. Listen to this. You think I'm weird? She'll confirm everything you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything.
Somebody said, "Are you insane?" I said, "Yeah, I got a piece of paper with the doctor's name on it, says I am." I said, "Do you have one?" "No." I said, "So that makes you suspect." We don't know what the hell's wrong with you.
Oh dear. Oh.
At least I have a good idea.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. And somebody asked me and said, "Do you suffer from insanity?" I said, "No, I kind of have a good time. Rather enjoy it." You might suffer from my insanity if you stand too close for too long.
I love that.
So you're free to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's brilliant.
I said that, and you could see Richard Kruger was thinking about it, and he's like, and we were talking back and forth. I'm like, "Oh, you're still here? You may go now." It's like, I'm like, trust me, don't try and wrap your mind around that statement. Just go. It'll come to you later.
Oh, you know what? I always love, and I find that actually quite amusing with you as well. I always say, I laugh at my own jokes. I don't even need an audience, and I can see exactly the same thing in you.
I crack myself up all the time because I got a committee up here. I fact check myself, and it's like, hold it, let's run through the process here. And then I end up laughing. People are like, "How are you so happy all the time?" I said, "How is it you're not?" Spend some time. You'll be happy just to be in your own again.
Escapism.
I've had trained professionals leave the profession because of my head. I'm like, "No, it's a joke."
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm pulling your leg here a little bit. That would be I don't know if that would be an achievement or a mark of despair. Yeah. After visiting with me, my shrink quit the business.
Oh, you're just too funny.
Let's call it a day, because I got to go visit the men's room. It's getting intense.
Have a lovely rest of the day.
You too. You go be blessed and sleep well.
Thank you. I will send you my details over.
All right. I'm looking forward to it. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.